Hi, good evening. Welcome to Business Live. Tonight in the bulletin, some industries refusing to expand in Ghana as a result of high taxes. Spare part dealers submit list for government stimulus package. And from jobless to becoming his own boss, we'll share the story of Reggies Juice Bar on the Joy Business Fan. Some story to inspire you during this COVID-19 times. Hello, welcome once again. We've got details right after this break. Welcome back, everyone. Now, some members of the Association of Ghana Industries have refused to expand their businesses in Ghana. Blue Sky is one of such, and a member of the Free Zone says it is currently paying 15% taxes, which should not be. Now, Director of Blue Sky's West Africa, Ruth Ejay, at the Joy Business Industrialization Forum, said her company moved to Benin because of the lifetime free tax.
Before we set up, and that's when a few years ago we started having this unexpected corporate tax change without the involvement of the stakeholders from 0 to 8 to 15%. And when we realized that, we had a few meetings. It was, just to put it bluntly, pushed down our throats. And it's one of the things that we've been trying to tell the government that, look, as a business, when you're coming, you come with a set of rules. You come in with, you come having a policy, and you decide whether you go into the local, as a local company or as a free zone company. And when you decide, you move with that. But along the line, when the policies are changed or the goalpost is changed by the government, it becomes difficult to see your future in the next 5, 10, 20 years. So you start advising yourself, and that's exactly what started happening. We try to meet most government officials. We try to meet free zones authority just to ensure that they understand some of the predicaments. Because you can't plan for a sustainable business for a decade, 2 decades, then along the line something changed, which doubles your taxes. So this is not something you've planned. So automatically it slows down all your growth and all the sustainable things you want to do. Blue Skies employs more than 3,000 people. It's almost impossible to be able to wipe out the lid because it's highly perishable, to be able to still be sustainable. So this is where we started talking to the government that there are lots of incentives in other countries trying to lobby Blue Skies to set up there. And this is why I was trying to make the point of all the free zone acts and policies that we have, all the government policies, where other countries come here to study what we have. They go back and they actually improve what we have in Ghana.
So what did Benin have that we
Benin
didn't
has
have?
Lifetime free zone status. That's the first thing, that's automatically. And one of the things they used to continue saying is that what you get in Ghana will give you the same or will double it or will improve it. And this is somebody hungry for industrialization in the country. Do you understand? They've created, I think the special zone is a laudable idea. But how are we managing the free zones one before we go into the special zone? Is it the same? What are the differences? Because before free zone started, it wasn't an enclave. It started with different codes like Blue Skies is. Because the conditions is you can get closer to the agriculture sector. You can either be in the industrial zone and all that.
Raw materials are.
But I think everything wants to be centralized in one place, which is not a bad idea. Because it's one of the things that Benin is also trying to set up. But then you can still do what we did, which is what we've done in Benin. Set up and register as a free zone. But then the conditions are improved conditions of what Ghana has here. So why are we not, already we have good systems. Why are we not applying the good systems we have? Because currently it's, you go into the business, but you don't get the support that William was talking about. It's not just about saying that pay the corporate tax. Can you get the same tax without getting the company to pay maybe the corporate tax? Can you look at income tax? Can you look at this tax? There are so many things that are happening, which is not directly in the corporate tax that you can really tap into.
Now, Spare Parts Dealers Association says it is working on a list of its members to benefit from government's 600 million stimulus package. The businesses are not being spared the impact of the coronavirus pandemic. Charles Aite has more.
These are uncertain times for spare part dealers at Aboagye-Wiafe as the coronavirus bites hard on revenues. Spare part dealers are compiling a list of over 100 shop owners who will be benefiting from the 600 million city stimulus package for SMEs. Here is co-chairman of the Aboagye-Wiafe Spare Parts Dealers Association, Clement Boateng.
Aboagye-Wiafe Spare Parts Association, which is part of GUTA, is also in the process of compiling, names of its members, because when we visited the National Board for Small Scale Industries, they told us that even though we've already sent lists of associations to the Trade Ministry, we should also compile individual members of respective associations, to them, so that they, being the agency that are working on it, will do the final data and then send it to the appropriate authorities for the disbursement of the package.
COVID-19 has led to the shortage of some stock here. Suppliers have suspended production due to the outbreak. They say although there are alternatives to some of the products they import from China, the associated challenges have slowed down their businesses.
This place is home to thousands of car engines that are being imported day in and day out to meet demand here at Aboagye-Wiafe. I've been interacting with the secretary in charge of this entire place, and he says importation cuts due to the COVID-19 has left them with no option than to woo customers who are out of the country as we speak now. This is going to impact on sales. It's going to leave the jobs of most of these guys in jeopardy and the entire business on a balance.
It has affected everybody. Affected everybody. But we must keep our fingers crossed. Now, because of the borders and these things have been closed, we can't do that until everything is clear. So we have to go over the old stock, and then the goods we have imported.
I stopped by the shop of James Otu, a dealer who fears his business could tumble should the coronavirus linger.
Our friends from outside, like Takrade and the rest, they are afraid to come because of the situation in Accra. The figures are very high, so they are afraid to come. Yeah, business is a little bit low, as compared to before the pandemic. Business has come down.
You can see for yourself, most of these guys are just seated idle, no business whatsoever for them. We've interacted with most of them. You can see that they're just standing in front of their shops, people not attending to them, and even the free spaces available, the free car parks available, it's very clear and indicative of the impact this is having on their business.
They are waiting for the customers to come so that I can work for them. Yeah. They're like maybe from 5 o'clock over there. 5 o'clock in the morning. I come to work early. Yeah, I'm still waiting for the customers.
You heard it for yourself. He's been seated since 5 a.m. waiting for customers to come.
The effects of COVID-19 in Ghana is indelible. Already hundreds of workers have been laid off by employers unable to balance revenue with significant losses being accrued. Clement Boateng laments the impact layoffs would have on the spare parts industry.
The recent, layoffs could really, have an impact on our business, because you are all aware that government, employs a little over 600,000 in the public sector. All the employment in the country here is being generated by the private sector. And with the advent of this COVID-19, the private sector is also affected. We are aware that a lot of the private sector people are currently sitting at home. So if somebody is sitting at home and he has to service his vehicle and does not have money, then the person will also not come and then purchase something from us.
Though government has introduced a stimulus package for SMEs amid the pandemic, spare part dealers here want more to be done to safeguard their businesses in these trying times. I'm Charles Aite for Joy Business.
Now, the Ghana National Chamber of Commerce and Industry is undertaking an impact assessment survey to enable it fashion out support programs for businesses affected by COVID-19. The data will also guide the Chamber in its engagement with government and other stakeholders for a coordinated and proactive response strategy. President of the Chamber, Dr. Nana P.J. Dankwasu, says businesses will get appropriate support during and after the pandemic. Prince Apia has more in this report.
Since the beginning of the COVID-19, many businesses have been impacted severely in Ghana. Though government has announced the stimulus packages for SMEs, little has been said about post-COVID-19 plans to revive affected businesses. The Ghana National Chamber of Commerce and Industry is therefore collating data from affected businesses and the industry to ensure business continuity after the coronavirus pandemic. Dr. Nana Aboagye-Wiafe is the president.
We are conducting a research, and so we are still on the questionnaire. We are administering the questionnaire. We want individuals to contribute and the corporate Ghana to also give their data and information so that we can collate them and look at the post-COVID program so that we can know actually the things that the government and all of us have to do to revive the businesses that are collapsing. Small, medium enterprises need some form of stimulus, but if you don't allow them to tell you actually what they want, you will not hit the nail on the right head. And that's why we are conducting that data and information to see how best we can help these SMEs.
He spoke to Love Business when he presented items worth 12,000 Ghana cedis to the Kumasi Central Prison. Dr. Nana Dankawoso explains the gesture as his personal contribution to the prison and less privileged in this difficult time.
You know that government employs only 6% of the workforce of Ghana. The private sector employs about 94%, and so that is a huge number. We have a teaming of youth and graduates that are coming up out of universities, and they all need some work to do. So it is the private sector which is the engine of growth, and we need to strengthen the private sector to make sure that we are able to employ more people. If you don't strengthen the private sector, it means that a lot of deployment are going to be done, and unemployment rate will be very, very high, and we don't want that to happen. So we are collaborating with government to make sure that we get to the right people and resuscitate them and make sure that they get back to business and, at least to retain the workforce that they have now.
Deputy Ashanti Regional Director of Prisons, Usman Tsembedu, received the items.
We thank Nana for this wonderful gesture. We are really overwhelmed. There had been donation to the prison establishment, but this happened to be one of the largest donations that had ever been presented to Kumasi Central.
Prince Apia reporting.
Now, the coronavirus pandemic has brought with it job losses. Companies have had to lay off some workers or furlough others just to sustain the operations. It doesn't have to be the end of the road. That is why we want to share with you the story of Reginald Alotepapo. Frustrated about being jobless after national service, he decided to start a juice business. It's been 3 years now, and within this period, he's learned life's most important lessons the hard way. Reginald invited the Joy Business van to his startup, Reggies Juice Bar, and here's his story. 3 years of starting his juice business has taught Reginald Alotepapo patience and perseverance, and we get to hear all about it.
Hello, Joy Business Van. My name is Reginald Alotepapo, and here is my partner, Maria Liwase.
Hello.
And welcome to Reggies Juice Bar.
Reginald's decision to start a fresh juice business stemmed from months of fruitlessly searching for a job after school.
I applied to so many places, no one was even calling me for an interview. So after about 2.5 years, I got very frustrated and I decided to start a company. I spoke to my partner about it and we considered a few options, but in around October 2017, we decided that juice was the best business for us, and we decided to go ahead with it.
At the time, the juice business was saturated and is still saturated. How Reggies Juice Bar was going to break through was left to be seen.
We decided that we were going to produce 100% fresh juice, which was undiluted, which was without preservatives, which was without any sugars or additives. And we felt that we could produce it in a very hygienic manner that will appeal to customers on the market.
With support from family and friends, Reginald and his partner got to work, starting production from his mother's kitchen using a small juicer.
In the beginning, it was very challenging. It was very difficult, especially when it came to selling the juice. We would go to one of the very popular estates around Spintex, and we would try and sell it by knocking door to door. And it was very discouraging because 9 out of 10 times, no one will even offer to drink the juice, just to taste it before buying. The customers didn't want to do that, and it was discouraging. Sometimes you make one sale in a day, you look at the money, and you're just not excited about the job anymore. But I mean, when we came home and we spoke to our parents, they kept telling us that business was like that. In the beginning, you find difficulties, but you just have to keep on going, and then you find the silver lining. And that's what it's been like.
As disappointing as that sounds, Reginald and his team kept at it, door to door, social media, till they were able to gain consumer confidence. From kitchen table, Reggies Juice Bar has a production facility. Today, he and his team are producing one of their products, watermelon juice. Typically, production starts from sourcing fruits, sorting, scrubbing, cutting, and then feeding the machine. The juice could be pasteurized or bottled fresh based on the preference of the client.
What do you think?
It's good.
Perfect. So what we just finished producing is watermelon juice mixed with pineapple. What we're looking out for was two things: that the color was consistent with what we are used to producing, and that the sugar content in relation to the pineapple and the watermelon agree, because watermelon is a dominant fruit, so when you add anything to it, it dwarfs the taste. So we added a bit more pineapple to the watermelon to make sure that the taste was sweet and what our customers are used to.
From 100 bottles in 2017, Reggies Juice Bar is able to produce about 1,500 bottles a day.
One of our biggest challenges since we started this company has been accessing capital. The juice industry is not cheap at all. It's very expensive, from equipment to even getting the right type of staff. Investing in research, it's not been easy.
Plus, fruits are perishable and the risk of losses is very high. Reginald and his team are, however, pushing ahead.
Sakumona Estate. And there's another one for Aboagye-Wiafe, also 100 bottles, 300 ml.
Yeah. Our journey hasn't been easy at all. It's been very thought-provoking. It's very challenging. There have been a lot of ups and downs, disagreements, but we're finally here. We are not where we want to be. We're aiming high, shooting for the stars. So with the right amount of cash inflow, we'll be able to get to where we want to be, which is the best juice manufacturing company in Ghana.
And another thing Reginald says becoming his own boss has taught him is leadership. And you're watching Business Live. We are taking a short break. We'll be right back. Welcome back. So the airline industry may suffer more as investors consider selling off their shares in some major airlines. Warren Buffett, the legendary American investor, for instance, has decided to sell off his firm's entire holdings in 4 major U.S. airlines like Delta, American Airlines, Southwest, and United Airlines. But what does this really mean? Stock market analyst Bethel Tubiga has been speaking to me about the impact as investors sell off their shares in major airlines and what the airlines can do to protect their stocks and shareholders.
Let me say that such a person, it's an investment guru across the globe. And unlike, for instance, we have social media influencers, and this person happens to be an investment influencer. So taking such a decision to sell off his shares in these 4 major airlines in the industry is definitely going to have an adverse or a negative impact on the market. That's if their shares, well, people like that would definitely have some form of majority shareholding. And he stated that he doesn't see the future of the airline industry to be that positive, so the decision to sell off these shares. Now, if the market is going to be affected, shareholders that have shares in these companies are also going to be affected, because when such decisions are taken, it affects the entire market. Now, markets like that are efficient market. They are, unlike the Ghana Stock Exchange, that is not an efficient market. Such informations have great impact on the stock market. And then one other thing is that there's the possibility of seeing these shares actually slump in their prices on this exchange. So it's not a good thing for the airline industry, especially these 4 airlines that he's going to sell off his shares in, and it's not a good thing for the market as well.
Okay, so you point out that, Warren Buffett even says the airline industry is going to change forever because of COVID-19. And seeing that we are not going to see an end to the woes of the airline industry now, how can the airline operators protect their stocks? What can they do? It's like there's nothing they can do right now. Is there something they can do?
Well, for now, there's little they can do, or there's nothing they can really do, because as an airline industry, basically what brings in the money is that you are in business and the airlines are flying. But most, or let me say almost all airlines, apart from domestic flights, which have been given room to fly, are not flying. Borders are closed and you can't travel. And to protect their shareholders, what I can say is that definitely your prices are going to go down. But as to when this is going to end, this pandemic is going to end, would determine how they can actually protect their investors. If the pandemic should end soon, then within the short period, or after the pandemic, the bans have been lifted, then these airlines can put in strategies to actually cover up for some of the losses that they have made during this period. For someone who asks that they are regulated, their prices might be regulated, they can't go beyond some point. But this is an industry, let me put it that way, it's an industry crisis, and they need to be able to cover up the losses that they have made. And one thing that we can also look at now is that when these airlines are finally, these bans are finally lifted, all other things being equal, demand might go up. Why am I saying demand for these airlines are going to go up? The lockdowns, the bans on international flights were, it's not something that was planned for. It just happened. And there are people that might be in countries or locations that they are not supposed to be now, but they find themselves there and they need to go back home to do business, to make ends meet. So if these people are in other locations and then these bans are lifted, no matter the cost, how much it will cost them to get a ticket to go back home, they will definitely pay for it. So demand, there's a possibility that demand for these flights is going to go up when bans are finally lifted. And there's also a possibility whereby people will want to relax on traveling to other countries because of this coronavirus pandemic.
And that's our program tonight. Thanks for watching. My name is Darryl Kwao.